Hi kids. So today we'll start with a new chapter which is called population. So have you ever imagined a life without people or human beings? Like, can you ever imagine a world where there are no humans? It's just the resources which are there, right? It's very impossible for us to imagine. It's because it's very difficult for us ecological system to sustain a lifestyle without human beings. Let's say, what was a coal before we humans came into action? Coal was nothing but just a piece of rock. So when we humans came up with the idea that coal can be used as a natural resource, this was something really great, right? So this is how we can say that humans are actually important, or population is actually important and integral part of this entire system. So before we start with this chapter, I would like to tell you a ninja fact over here. Did you know that India ranks second on the world's population? It's after China. That China is on the first rank and India is on the second rank, with a total population of 1.26 million people. This 1.26 million population lives on the geographical area of 3.28 square kilometers. So yes, we are highly dense over here. India has a huge population and is growing every year. So coming back to the chapter, as I'll here start with the density of the states and the population growth. Okay, so you can see here over the map. This map tells you the density of each and every state over here in India. As you can see in the map, Uttar Pradesh is highly dense. So by the word density, what I actually mean is total number of people living in per square kilometer. So Uttar Pradesh, as you can see, is highly dense over here, which means that Uttar Pradesh contributes a lot towards the Indian population, which is 16%. Well, only 5 states, which is Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and Bihar, these 5 states have half of the population of India. So half of the India's population is living in these 5 states. That's why these 5 states are highly dense. So now we'll be studying about the annual growth rate. So what is the annual growth rate and how it affects to the population of India? Well, there has been a tremendous growth in India's population since 1951. In 1951, there was a population of 361 million people living in India. But as the years passed, in the last 2011 count, we had 1.2 million people living on this land of India. Well, you can see the statistics, it's very tremendous growth, right? So how do we calculate the annual growth rate? An annual growth rate is calculated by per person per annum. It's per person per annum, right? So for example, let us take your apartment or your society where you have 100 people living over there, right? A population of 100 is living in your society or your apartment. After a year or within that year, let's say 2 more people shifted to your society, which is a 2% growth in your annual growth rate of the society. So this is how the growth rate affects, and this is how the growth rate takes place in your society. Now I'll be telling you about the birth rates and the death rates and why there has been so much of population growth in India. That's because we have a huge difference between birth rate and death rate. What is exactly a birth rate? Birth rate is number of births, or you can say live births per 1,000 people per annum. And death rate is just the similar, which is number of deaths per 1,000 people per year. So this is how the birth rate or the death rate is calculated. Well, in India, the birth rate is really high. On the other hand, the death rate is really low. That's the reason population is growing day by day in India and we are highly populated. Now I'll tell you about migration. What is exactly migration? Migration is nothing but moving from one place to another, or migrating from one city to another, or one country to another country. Let's say migration is of 2 types. One is internal, one is international. So internal means within the country, moving city to city, and international means moving from one country to another country, right? So let us take an activity over here. How does migration affects? Because internal migration actually affects the density of the population over here. So we'll take an activity over here. You can ask your parents or maybe grandparents where they have been coming from. You can track the proper migration. For example, my grandfather belonged from Punjab. We shifted to Wardha and then we shifted to Nagpur. This is how the migration takes place. And similarly, you can also do the same thing for your family members. So now we will be studying about age composition. Age composition refers to number of people or population which is classified into different categories. So there are three age compositions. The first one is children. This age composition comes under or is below 15 years. This total group or complete group is dependent on others. They are not economically productive, neither biologically. The second one is working. Working age group lies from 16 years to 59. This group is very dependent. The whole country is actually dependent on this group because they are highly productive economically and biologically as well. The third one is aged. Aged is after 59 years of age. So this group can either be productive or they are mainly the retired people of India. So this is how the structure of age composition works. Now we come to the last topic of this chapter, which is sex ratio. Well, sex ratio is a very important factor for the population of India. What is a sex ratio? Sex ratio is total number of females per 1,000 males. In India, Kerala has the highest sex ratio. We have 1,084 females per 1,000 males. Whereas in Haryana, we have the lowest sex ratio, which is 877 females for per 1,000 males. Well, this is a very drastic difference in India regarding the sex ratio. That's why the government has come up with a very nice initiative, which is Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. That's the reason we have seen a good increase in number of females or the sex ratio of India. So today, the average sex ratio of India is 943 per 1,000 males, and it is increasing every year.